good. Give me a moment. It's. I was trying to go live right now, and I was getting a pop up right now, so I'm really re-enabling it right now.
Okay.
All right, so I think we are live now. Richard, just want to go ahead
Okay.
and thank you, for calling me back in. We haven't talked in I would say at least over a month now. I just wanted to touch base with you because I did have some more questions, some follow up questions with you. But before we start that, I just want to check how you're doing. How were your holidays? Has anything changed where you're at right now? Any good experiences or whatnot?
Oh yeah. Once again, it's good to hear from you as well, and good to hear that you're doing good as well. And yeah, my holidays were pretty good. Um, for me, it's one step closer to home. So now I'm looking at the holidays a little bit different. Now I'm looking forward to the holidays because I know it's one step closer to my goal of getting home. And I was able to talk to my family. And now it's not, the conversations have even changed. It's no longer, we wish you could be here, we miss you, and the sadness that goes with the holidays and the separation. Now it's just think next year you'll be here at the house, and the excitement of that, that we'll be able to share the holidays together once again, get to know each other once again, and create new memories. You know. So for me, these Thanksgiving was pretty good. It was pretty good. You know, pretty good. And I'm grateful for it.
That's definitely good to hear that your holidays were good and you were able to reconnect with your family because family is it's definitely important, especially when you're in places like this. Family having family support. I'm not sure what their standing was prior to this, but I'm glad you're connecting the dots and you guys are moving forward and reconnecting.
Yeah, that it is, and family is always important. And it's unfortunate that many individuals here do not count with their families, but everybody's journey is different. Um, I have no idea why that would be, or what caused it, or if the reasons behind it. So that's why I've always been very grateful, um, and I give thanks, especially in the holidays, that with me and my family, we've always had a good relationship. We've always had, since we're six brothers and three sisters, I usually, it's almost like a rotation. For a year, be one sister. For another year, be a brother. At first, it was hard um, because it was I that was there 1 minute and gone the next, and it was difficult for them as well as for me. But I think it was within the 10th year that uh, visits began to be consistent, writings began to be consistent, and we touched on the hurt, the pain that I had caused for having made the choices that I did that brought me in prison. And but throughout the years, as I matured as well, uh, there came a point where in my 20th year or my 25th year, I spoke to each and every one of them when they would come visit, and I asked them to forgive me. I apologized to them, asked them to forgive me for having abandoned them, for having chosen this lifestyle over them, for not being there in their hardships, for not being there when my brother's wife passed away, for not being there when my younger brother's wife passed away, and for not being there when they would move or through the difficulties. or just an everyday. And the one thing I did do was because I knew a lot of my brothers and sisters were
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
they were feeling a guilt of did I do enough for me? Did I do everything I could to have stopped for them to stop me from continuing this lifestyle? Could they have done something different? So, and in a way, they blamed themselves sometimes. And so I had to have that conversation with each and every one of them. And in that conversation, I assured them that I do know that they really, really tried to stop me from making these choices. They did everything they could, but one moment, as soon as the door closed and they would go to the living room, I would jump out the window, you know. And there was really nothing that they could do, anything different that they could do, because I was already making those choices that way. And it's just sad, but on my part, that I caused that. And so I let them know it's okay. Don't feel guilt. Don't feel ashamed or guilt. Anything. Don't feel the pain or the hurt that comes with moving on uh, moving on with their own lives, starting their own family, following a career, uh, marrying and having children, seeing them married, even though I'm not there. And it helped them. It did help them. Some of my brothers and sisters did decide and thanked me for it, and they eventually continued to move forward to live their lives. And every now and then we would talk, write a letter, but in no shape or form would I ever suggest for them to come visit or that I needed something because I respected the fact that they decided to move well on with their lives. That they can't put their lives on hold because I'm the one that decided to be in prison. And it was difficult for me. Of course, I found myself missing my family even more. Found myself going through all the negative thinking that comes with all that. But at the end of the day, I knew that it was the right thing to do, and I always wanted what was best for my family. Now that I was in here, I realized what that was, and now I cherish that. And now that I'm looking forward to coming home, it is awkward. There's gaps. There's and for them, it's not really knowing me and me not knowing them because I'm stuck to emotionally and mentally where we left off at before I got incarcerated. And for them is remembering me how I was then as opposed to how I am now. And so now that I'm closer to getting home, we're talking about it. And we're also talking about how it's making us feel. And what's helping me out is actually the self-help groups that I take in here. What's helping me out is the mental health providers in here, the counselors that I get to open up to, and then they uh, actually help me out through their own wisdom and through their own words, how to go about it. And so it's a better transition. And even though some of my brothers and sisters want me to come home directly, I can't, and I know I can't because I have to take baby steps. I have to do what is necessary. I have to do what I know I need to in order for me to succeed in transitioning myself back into society. And that means taking it very slow. That means learning. That means getting used to seeing the people around me uh, in different clothes, seeing the cars, seeing everything different because it's been 32 years since I last was out there, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot that's changed in those 32 years. And they understood. At the end of the day, they've understood and support me in that. And so they're there. So we're in that. That's where we're at right now. That little period, which will get better.
And right now, I see, the change in you, because you definitely touched on something that how can I say, you obviously you're in prison, and it wasn't their fault, and that was big of you, to let them know that
Yeah.
it wasn't their fault. I mean, they did what they could, and sometimes, you got to run that course, and things happen to you, for you to finally, figure it out. Unfortunately, somebody ended up losing their life over it, and you've been in
Yeah.
prison for the last 32 years. But I could, definitely, hear the growth in your voice, and it does seem like you're in a different, mind state than you were when you entered, the California Department of Corrections.
Yeah. That I am, and that's the part where my family now is getting to know uh, who I am now, who I've become throughout this experience, and that's who I'm actually grateful, even though it's been 32 years. Even though it's been 32 years, I'm grateful because of one, the journey that I had to take and what I had to go through in order to now think the way I think and feel the way I feel uh, is much more better than what I was. So if I had gotten out sooner, it wouldn't have worked because I still hadn't uh, come full circle yet. My maturity had not reached the type of level that I'm in now, uh, where I now put the best interests of those who I love and others before actually mine. It's something that I had to learn, and without that, I don't think that I could have uh, succeeded out there. And so and so
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
it's a sad gratefulness and it's a sad joy because again I had to do these 32 years in order for me to reach this point in my life, this change in my life, and because of that, I know my family will benefit even more of who I am now, and that uh, the love and as a brother, as an uncle, and as a father, and as a son, and as a grandparent now, I can now give myself to them as opposed to now having been able to do that in the past. So um, it's been 32 years, but it had to be those 32 years for me to be here now and who I am now. And I know that my family, though they wanted me home sooner, I now explained to them that there was no possible way that it would have worked out if I would have went home sooner. Because we all know when we reach a certain maturity, we all know when we reach a certain way of thinking, and it sticks. Um, and
You have 60 seconds remaining.
they now understand it. They understand it now. You know?
Do you think, or do you feel that you went to prison to find a better version of yourself?
Yes, most definitely yes. Because I found myself in here, and I was lost out there, and I was only causing destruction while I was lost. So by having been brought into prison, uh, the destruction that I was causing out there came to a stop, or it was contained to a certain point, and that in itself was a plus plus for myself, for my family, because I don't know if my family would have.
All right. So, 15 minutes were up. He should be calling us back shortly. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and thank everybody that's currently listening um to the stream right now. And one of the reasons that I brought Richard back was there was a few questions that I wanted to ask him from listening to his other from his previous interviews that I never got to touch base on or bases on. So I definitely want to do that today. So right now, when he calls back, I have a few. I have maybe like five or six different questions that I want to get into. Just curious about some of the things that he mentioned in his past interviews. So hopefully we could get some a little bit more details on. There he is.
This call is
This
now
is
being
Global
recorded.
Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Richard Martinez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Richard.
Hi, James. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for calling back.
Yeah, that was yeah, it's just one of the things where because I because of my incarceration, I was actually saved. My life was saved, and I have no doubt about that. But because my life was saved, it gave me the opportunity to truly, in a hard way, find myself, uh, find out who I was, what I wanted, and to really come full circle. And it just my biggest pain in that, my biggest regret in that is just that it had to take me coming to prison, and that the destruction that I caused, the pain, the hurt, the suffering that I caused to so many people, that had to be a part of that. And to this day, I'm truly remorseful for that. I regret that, and now I try to do all I can each day to make sure that uh, I help out in any way that I can, in a positive way, towards others' growth, towards stopping things from happening, towards helping others and finding their way, doing my part in assuring that another doesn't uh, fall in that same footsteps that I did, that I could maybe stop it somehow, some way, before they truly hurt somebody, you know. And so it had to take all that from in great part. Like I said, it helped me become who I am now. It helped me not only to find myself, but to uh, put myself together.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Richard, I have a
Yeah.
during our previous interviews, you touch on a few different subjects or scenes where I didn't get to touch on them previously on our other interviews. So I wanted to go ahead and take the opportunity
Yeah.
now and ask you. And I want to take you back to that time when you were still on the streets and you were in LA. And if you could paint a picture of us or to us of like how what the atmosphere was during that time in LA. LA was or it still is the gang capital of the world, and and there was the Rampart scandal. I think it hadn't happened during that time yet, but a crash unit was notorious out there in LA. It kind of felt like the crash unit, like they were like gang bangers with badges. I remember them, rolling three or four deep in a car, and you would be walking down the street, and they would just jump out on you like run up on you like where you from, like if they gangbang. which was, I found it kind of odd. Like you got these cops running around out here like is the Wild Wild West, trying to gangbang on people and doing all kinds of craziness. What kind of experiences did you have with Rampart? Because I know you were from that area, or you represented
Yeah,
that area, so I'm pretty sure you have to have come across, like Rafael Perez and all those dudes. Those dudes there were some bad dudes. They were doing some real vicious stuff on the streets.
yeah. I actually encountered quite a few of them because in the area where I uh, mostly stayed at was in the Rampart area, yeah, in the Pico Union area, uh, in MacArthur Park area, all that area where they normally would be at. And yeah, there was no doubt that there was no doubt that they had crossed the line. There was no doubt that they had crossed the line, and there was no doubt that they were no longer police officers because the things they were doing, criminals would do. And so many of us uh, saw that as uh, there was no line between good and bad. There was no line between the authority and the criminal world. There was no line whatsoever. And uh, some of us took advantage of it, as I did. Uh, and when we met and came across an honest officer, uh, we actually didn't even know how to deal with them. We would talk to them like they were corrupted because that's what we were shown. And it's unfortunate uh, because you're right. They were a gang themselves. And they had their initiation. They had their way of doing things. And they got into bed with the criminal world. And many people paid a heavy price for that. And it did. It made a lot of people look at the police officers as nothing more than the gangs themselves. So they would not call the department. They would not call the officer. They would not dial 911 when they would see things or when something would happen because they knew that they were in bed with the criminals themselves. And a lot of it came out later on. And that's not nothing unique. It's there's always bad apples everywhere. And and in this case, it ran deep. And they tried. They tried to uh, stop it. They tried to do what was right afterwards, but it was too late. It was too difficult. The damage was done. The damage was already done, and the damage that was brought on onto the kids in that area was done as well. And like I said, I experienced it myself. I was taken to rival gang members' territory and dropped off, left there to be killed. Uh, I was beat up by them. Uh, the way they interrogated me, the way that when I would get pulled over, if I had anything on me, they would keep it and let me go. So a lot of these things would happen over and over, and we knew it as normal. And so it contributed to uh, our destruction. It contributed to our own downfall. It contributed to our own lost ways because it was difficult already for our parents to show us right from wrong, to discipline us right from wrong. And yet you got here police officers who are supposed to be upstanding citizen, upstanding officers, upholding the law, breaking the law themselves. You know, so in one way or another, they also help create the environment with which we had to grow up in and become who we became. They contributed to it. And I'm not sincere saying it's entirely their fault, but they had contributed to it. And it's just unfortunate because even now, I my brother was an officer. I had become a police officer. One of my nieces is a police officer. You know, and even though we have discussions as far as what we feel or what I think, there's always that question that they always have at the forefront of their thoughts when they talk to me is how do I truly feel about a police officer or a correctional officer. And honestly, I have nothing but respect for them because I know they got a tough job. And I know it was only a few, more than a few bad apples, but nonetheless, bad apples. And I know that your normal police officer will do the right thing. And it's just unfortunate that that occurred and that contributed to our own criminal ways, our own lifestyle. You know?
Let me ask you, um, during the time at the height of the Rampart scandal, I used to go to a continuation right there on by the downtown area, Rampart area, and there was this girl that went there, and she had mentioned to us that her the gentleman that she had a baby with, that he had got framed by the Rampart unit, that they had shot him, and then he was paralyzed, and he ended up in prison for like over 20 years. This was maybe like in '97, and I think like in maybe like 2000, I remember I saw her on the news with that dude. They showed a picture of them, and I was like, wow, man, she wasn't lying. Her dude was he was framed by crash unit. In this guy's name was Javier
Yeah,
Francisco Ovando. He received the biggest payout from the whole Rampart scandal. I think he ended up getting like 15 million dollars, and they released him from prison. It was huge, the stuff that they were doing. I remember every Tuesday and Thursday, you already knew it was crash night. You got to be on your p's and q's if you were out there on the street, because not only did you have to worry about the criminal element, you had to worry about the cops too, running up on you, or possibly, like you said, grabbing you and throwing you in a rival neighborhood or gang territory. And sometimes these people didn't make it out. They probably thought it was fun and games, but at the end of the day, they were putting these people's lives at risk, by doing stunts like that. Definitely not cool to do.
yeah,
um
yeah.
you
It
know
did. They definitely had. They definitely did put individuals at risk. They also had placed individuals in situations where they lost their lives when they did such things, and they did. Um, when I now look at everything as a whole, uh, was I upset? Was I mad that they did what they did? Of course. But then I look at the things we were doing ourselves in the late '80s and
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
the LA Times actually had described the area of LA in which I stayed in as Little Beirut because of the civil war that was going on over there in Beirut at the time. They actually described it as a war zone because you had gangs shooting each other indiscriminately, not caring who bystanders were, from building to buildings, going and
You have 60 seconds remaining.
and so the officers themselves were also put in danger. Were also getting shot at the moment they get close, and so they were under tremendous pressure to start making arrests because many of the gangs that were out there were indiscriminately killing each other. At the height of it, in 1991, the summer of 1991, I attended over 10 funerals in a span of just 2 weeks.
All right. So the call got disconnected. He should be calling us back shortly, and we'll go ahead and continue. There's a few other things that I want to ask him about that I want to touch on, which one of them is going to be when he was in county jail, and then when he eventually went off and made it into Pelican Bay. I want him to touch on a few of those subjects, and as soon as he calls back, I'll go ahead and ask him. And I'm not sure if you guys caught any of his interviews previously, but he had also mentioned that he was sold up with his brother for some time. I don't think it was that long, but definitely interesting. Going to prison and then ending up in Pelican Bay with your sibling. Want to check, and pick his brain as far as how that was. Being with I'm assuming it was one of his younger brothers that ended up making it up all the way up there, and also there he is.
This call is now being
This
recorded.
is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Richard Martinez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
Hello,
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on to this. Yeah, so it's one of them things where how do you stop? What could have they done differently to stop the wave of violence that was occurring? The moment they would hit the street, they would get shot at. So they would have to try to go in deep and try to stop the violence in one form or another. And then you had mothers, sisters, fathers who were begging the Rampart Police Department to do everything that they can to stop the violence. Did they do it the correct way? Absolutely not. But if they simply used the tools that they had at their disposal, they would have never prevented the deaths that occurred. Because how do they do a stop without going in there as deep? And whenever they went in deep, everybody knew they came. So when there was only one officer and one cop car, how would he would go in a situation that way? Yeah, they're trained but they couldn't have stopped it either.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So this is a debate that goes back and forth because I could see it both ways. And so I honestly believe that they had the right intentions of trying to do everything that they could in every way that they could to stop that type of violence that was occurring. Did they put a lot of people away that committed the crimes? Absolutely. Were there innocent individuals that got caught up in the net? Absolutely. And it's just unfortunate that the situations were such that that's the only way that they could have prevented or that they stopped it. Because if you look now, when all that was going on, and it was going on slowly but surely, the gangs murders started decreasing, which basically tells you either the guys that were doing it, the gang members that were doing it, were either dead themselves or did get put away. Because again, not every gang member picks up a weapon to go and kill somebody. Not every gang member does what the rest do. And so that's why I said I look at it now. I look at it from both perspectives, you know. And did they save lives? Absolutely, they did. They actually saved lives by putting away a lot of us that were committing crimes, that were committing murders at the time. You know, because I know I was so misguided, I was so lost, I was so out of control that if I hadn't gotten busted for this, I would have continued in the lifestyle I was living at the time. And so me coming to prison, actually, they did society a favor. They saved lives. So it's one of those things where you can see it from both sides, and both sides get you upset because here we are. I'm knowing a police officer shouldn't do what he did, shouldn't have been doing what they were doing. When they grabbed me and took me to the office, I already knew that they knew that there was a good possibility that my life would have been ended that day, and they had a hand in on it. You know, but then I look at myself, at the things that I was doing too. Should have been out there at that time? Absolutely not. Should I have been running around amok on the streets at that time? Absolutely not. I should have been at home with my family, doing my homework, playing sports. But I had chosen not to. And so that's why I'm always on the fence on that debate. I'm always on the fence of only being mad at one side and not the other. You know, because we were killing each other. We were killing our own race. We were killing other races. We were just killing each other. And we were just kids. Kids killing kids. How do you stop that? You know, what needs to happen to stop that? And the answer now is being more clear, and the answer now is coming even more clear. How there's now a lot less violence, gang violence, and those type of murders. And now the police departments are a little bit more professional, I should say, and they're not acting like they were before. Even though you still got bad elements, Even though you still have gangs out there and doing what they're doing, it's a lot less because they started putting different programs. They started investing things differently, trying to help us out, especially here in prison. You know, and now you're facing with a different type of monster. That was one monster. Now you're trying to deal with a different type of monster where you got kids going out there and doing these mass shootings. And now it's trying to figure out how to stop that from occurring. So the focus has now shifted. And a lot of us did suffer through that. And a lot of us did got caught up on that web. A lot of us did. And it's just unfortunate because I cannot sit here and say, okay, I did 20 years for a murder I did not do, as the individual you mentioned. But was he or was he not a gang member himself? He declared that he was. How do we know that he did not commit a murder before that, or a robbery before that, or committed crimes, or vandalized, or victimized other innocent people? A lot of us are quick to say, I'm innocent for this, but we're not. We don't sit there and say, oh, but you know what? I'm guilty of this. I did this. I did this. I did this. That's why so many people that are in prison now that are innocent for that crime that they got busted for, they now make sense. Now they make peace with it by saying, well, you know what? I should have gotten this sentence anyways because of the things I did in my past. That's why it's kind of difficult to really feel one way or another about that. Was there an injustice in putting him away for life for a crime he did not do? Absolutely. But was he one of the ones that was committing crimes through the crime wave, through these gang murders, and victimizing innocent people, hardworking society members, and all of a sudden never got caught for that, but got caught for this, a crime he did not commit? So should we feel should we feel bad for him? Should we feel an injustice for him? Should we yell foul play because of that? As I said, it's just difficult because you can debate this and you can put facts on there, and we will never know because I'm pretty sure anybody that has committed crimes that could be sentenced to great years in prison is not going to readily come up to you and tell you, hey, listen, I committed this crime, this crime, this crime, so that the justice system can process him for the crimes he did commit, as opposed to just saying, hey, I didn't commit this crime, and gaining your support for that. That's why it's difficult. It is, and I completely understand why some people really feel that justice was done for a gang member, a known gang member that got sentenced to many years and was in prison for many years for a crime he did not commit, but then gets out and never commits another crime.
I think in that his case, I think when he got out, I think he ended up catching another case, and it had to do with some illegal substances. So I don't think that horror deal that he went through, I don't think it changed his outlook on life.
Yeah, and that only comes to prove to you that more than likely, a high percent chance that he did commit crimes before he got sentenced to a crime he did not commit. You know what I'm saying? So should you feel bad for him? Or is that the way some people like to call karma? Or that's the way life comes back on an individual and says, hey, listen, uh, yeah, we didn't catch you for this. We know you did it. And we know you didn't do this one, but we're going to put you away for this one. You know, it's hard. It's difficult to go one way or another. And I completely understand. The cries of injustice. I absolutely agree with that too. He shouldn't have been found guilty for a crime he did not commit.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You know, but at the same time, how else could have he been stopped on his tracks before hurting another innocent people? You know, how else can you stop somebody that continuously disregards life? Because every single gang member that has crossed that line, that's what they do. They have a disregard for life, just like I did. So uh, how do they stop me from disregarding life and victimizing hardworking members of society, or from taking another life? It's one of those topics and issues that runs deep, and you can have arguments on both.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Because some will tell you, well, they're equipped with the tools of investigation. That's why they have detectives. They have this. Everything's done by the law. That's why we have rights. And that's absolutely true. That's why we have rights. That's why there's a process, due process, in the justice system, because we can't have vigilantes out there taking justice in their own hands. And that's what a lot of them police officers ended up doing. Because I'm pretty sure they got tired of seeing the same individuals committing the same crimes over and over, but they weren't unable to catch them. Because they're on the front lines. So they hear it just like when we're in the neighborhood. When someone shoots somebody, we hear it. Oh, so-and-so shot somebody. Oh, is that right? Okay.
All right, we went ahead and reached that 15-minute mark. As soon as he calls back, we'll go ahead and continue with this interview. So just go ahead and sit tight, and we'll go ahead and wait for him to call back. And hopefully it's sooner than later, because I still haven't set up that elevator music yet, so that I could play during these moments of waiting to be connected with the next call. And for any of you that are wondering about the Rampart and are not a Rampart scandal that are not familiar with it, I added some links to the description of this video.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Richard Martinez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Richard.
How you doing, James?
All right. So I had another question that I wanted to ask you about. I remember on one of our last interviews that we did, you had mentioned that you were celled up with boxer Enriquez.
Yes.
And can you share a little bit about what kind of interactions you had with him, and where at, and how was it?
Uh, it was different. It was I I met him early on in my county time um, in 1991, 1992. I was 19 years old, um, impressionable, and so uh, a lot of the individuals that were in the county that had some degree of uh, status or power uh, or simply older. Um, I tended to look up to them. I tended to absorb everything that they would feed me. Uh, and so there was a point in my life where I had aspired uh, to be just like them. And the more I interacted with those around me, um, the more I realized that there was deception, there was lies, that there was that it was only about themselves, but because of the environment that I was living in, uh, I feared uh, saying anything about it, expressing it, giving my opinion about it, because of what would occur. Um, so I ignored it. I pretended that I didn't hear a lie, or I pretended I didn't hear a selfish uh, a comment when things were being done, things were being ordered. And the further I ignored it, the more I uh, became them. But the more I interacted throughout the years with certain individuals, uh, like Rene, um, it it does not. Um, it's almost like it doesn't match what he writes about himself. It doesn't match where others speak about him. If you don't know him or you've never been in that area, you have the impression that he is was one of the um, craziest or most callous or most deadly individual in the prison system. But when you were there with them, that was not the case. Don't get me wrong. Was he capable of it? Absolutely. Because uh, just like I myself, and just like everybody that has done time, they know what fear does to an individual. And the one thing they uh, all believe in is better the next guy than yourself. Better him getting assaulted than yourself. So then you do everything you can to survive, everything you can to make sure that it's not you that ends up that way. And that's called fear. So this man also felt fear just like every other man feels fear. But he did not openly come out and say it. But when you're around him, you could see it. Sometimes the desperation to do something so that it's not you, you could see it. When, say, for instance, self-preservation or the fear of not being you when you enter a convenience store. and you see violence break out, you automatically start taking back steps backwards. You know, and that's self-preservation. That's
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
and so many have the impression that a lot of people in here do not have that type of fear, but they do. And so I got to see the part of him that many didn't, because they were never there with them, or because they only hear it from third parties or the book you wrote or stuff like that. You know, it doesn't take someone without fear to uh, order an assault on somebody, you know, or to be the biggest and baddest to order an assault on somebody. It doesn't take much to do that. You know, and it's one of those things that they portray him as somebody like that, but in reality, that's not the case. You know, uh, um, and now that he's out there, you know, a lot of people um, comment on it. You know, um, the reasons he got out. You know, and what made that possible for him to get out. You know, and make no mistake of it, uh, we all come to this side, or we all make changes in our lives because we either have come to the realization that we no longer want to hurt nobody. We come to a realization that we now know what it is that we have caused in so many people, or you ended up getting pushed out, or you knew that your number it was going to come up, that you no longer were going to get away with the stuff that you were doing for selfish reasons, and things were changing. And so his uh, reasons for leaving what he left was self-preservation. You know, not because he had a change of heart. He knew that uh, he was in the process of being in the same place or being in the same footing that he had put so many others before him. So he then cooperates and does everything he needs to do to get a release date. You know, and he's highly educated. You know, but does he feel true remorse? Does he regret the many things that he did to many innocent people? You know, that right there we will never truly know unless you have known them and been there with them. You know, sometimes it takes an event to make someone come to that point in their life. You know, and like I said, it took me uh, almost 45, 46 years, almost 26 years of my incarceration to finally hit uh, the lowest point in my life for me to truly uh, come to feel uh, the pain, the hurt, the suffering that I had caused in so many, for me to truly feel that remorse, to truly feel uh, regret for the things I came to do, to come to fully realize what I have done what I have lost and what I had caused in so many to lose. And so it was a process. And so, again, he did what he did for himself, and now he's out there, and uh, I don't know uh, where he now stands. I don't know how he now has come to feel about everything. I have no idea, but I do know the individual that was him before. You know, that uh, is for the people that are always around him. And the things that he's now doing. You know, and so again, um, I don't feel one way or another towards him for what he did. I think that it's not my place to uh, judge him or peg him as something because that uh, that is in God's hands now. As that God's doing, you know. Um, but I do know that um, he was a big reason of why uh, I continued in that misguided lifestyle, that work lifestyle I was living. You know, and like I said, I was an imperishable um, individual, a young individual that was uh, willing and ready to do everything just to uh, become like the ones around me. And when I had hit that lowest point in my life, I regretted it.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I regretted having become them because it's nothing but ugliness. It's being lost. It's seeing nothing but darkness. It's an ugliness that is hard and difficult to come out of. But once you're determined to come out of it, you can, and you will. But nobody in this lifestyle is worth you throwing your life away that way. Because, uh, yeah, sure, they make you feel that you're appreciated. They make you feel you're embraced and all that other stuff. But
You have 60 seconds remaining.
it's all a lie. It's all a sham because all they're doing is uh, misusing you for their own selfish gains. You know, but I'm glad I did get to run into them because I'm glad I was able to live through that chapter of my life because it's helped me to now recognize a lot of stuff uh, in helping others. Instead of adding to their misguided ways, I now try to help them, divert them from ever going that way, or help them come out of that. So I bet.
All right, so the call was cut off like they normally are after 15 minutes. Right now, when he calls back, I'll go ahead and ask. I see a question that you put on there from Stay Blessed. As soon as he calls back, I'll go ahead and ask him his his thought on the question that you just asked. So it shouldn't take him that long. He normally calls back relatively quickly, and we'll go ahead and continue with the conversation. So these questions that I'm asking him were some questions that I didn't get to ask him during our interview or past interviews, and I was fortunately able to get a hold of him today.
This call is now being
This
recorded.
is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Richard Martinez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Richard.
Yeah, how you doing, James?
Thank you for
Yeah.
calling back. We got a question from one of our watchers right now that goes by the handle stay underscore blessed, and stay blessed wants to know, do you believe that people in prison only do things for the higher ups out of fear only, or because they think they're gonna move up the ranks?
It's actually a mixture of the both. Some fear retaliation, some fear rejection, some fear being ending up being the one who gets assaulted or ends up being discarded. So they do uh, what they do because they fear that, and so they do the things out of fear, and it's not really because they aspire to be something more than that, and sometimes you can see it. Um, there's telltale signs when someone does things out of fear, when someone does things out of self-preservation, and when someone does things because they have an ambition to raise through the ranks and try to become a part of something that they believe is the uh, the spot that you can get in here, the highest spot that you can get in here, right? Um, but with that said, um, that's an illusion for many, and they don't even realize it because that's what they on top uh, lead you to believe that you have that chance to put yourself on top. And so then that's what you come in aspiring to be. But the more you involve yourself in this lifestyle, the more you uh, get closer, you do come to realize that that possibility is slim to none. And that you may be one of the ones that they're just using because you so readily give yourself to be used.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You know, I've ran into many individuals when I started doing my time that were in their 30s or late 20s, and I was barely 20, 21. And I was hearing words like, oh, if that guy is a has-been, you know, or he's irrelevant now. But yet, this guy had aspired to be a part of something. He aspired to get to the top. So all he got done was he was used and abused and discarded. And so when you see that, you want to convince yourself, so you begin to lie to yourself, oh, that's not going to be me. Because you don't want to believe that that can happen to you. And so, like I said, the closer you get, the closer you involve yourself to these things, the more clear it becomes to you. So now you're trying to just survive because now you're in so deep that now you're just trying to survive. And you no longer now want to aspire to, now you just barely want to survive. Because by the time you realize it, he's already given 20 years of your life for something that is worthless, something that is not even worth your life. And so I got in a county at the age of 19. I got to high power at the age of 20. I got to the shoe at SIG at the age of 21. I was validated and sent to Pelican Bay by the age of 22. By the time I came and realized that my life was being thrown away, I was already in my 30s. And so now, did I have people dangling a carrot in front of me? Absolutely. But the reality of it was nobody cares about you at all. They just care what you can do for them. That's it. What you can do for them. And then once you reach that position, then all you're doing is perpetuating it. And now you're not only perpetuating it, but now you are now fighting to maintain what you have. Because the next guy covets what you have. So it's an ongoing, constant battle, constant stresses that takes a toll on people. That's why a lot of people lose themselves in here. They start to separate themselves from reality. And you can see literally a blank face, a blank look in their face. You see the light in their eyes dim. You can actually see, like, man, these guys don't have a life in their face no more. Because you're being transformed to fit them, to fit that callousness, to fit that cold world, which was never you to begin with. Because we were not raised that way. We didn't grow up in a household that way. They expect you not to feel, but you feel. They expect you not to cry, but you want to cry. So then you become something that you're not. And that's what I mean about losing yourself to this world. And it takes courage to find yourself back, to dig deep and bring yourself back out. It takes more of being.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Of being more of a man to try to find yourself than to lose yourself. You know, I learned that the hard way. You know, it's easy to uh, bite into things because we come in here with a license and they tell us we're never getting out, or we have so much time that we start losing hope, and then sometimes our family is around. So, what is it that they do? They feed on that, and they make you feel like you're loved. They make you feel like you're respected. It makes you feel that you're wanted. And they make you feel like you're part of something. But at the end of the day, a part of what? You were already part of something, and that's called your family. You already have a mom. You already have a dad. You already have a sister. You already have a brother, a son, a daughter. You know, you already belong to something. And that's why you just got to refine it. So, yeah, again, it's people do things out of fear. People do things for self-preservation. Some people think they want to aspire to something, but at the end of the day, it's all a lie. It's all a lie. And the one that fears it, and they do things out of fear, he's actually in a better place in his life than the guy that does it to aspire to something. Why? Because the individual that does it out of fear has recognized it. He recognizes that this is not him, that this is not right. As opposed to someone who aspires to be, because that guy is still so misguided. He still uh, has his mind so warped that he believes in something so much that he is willing to do everything and anything what it takes. You know, and that means becoming something that he was never meant to become. A callous, someone with a lifeless soul, a dead soul, you know. And at the end of the day, it's not worth it. It's not worth it because you get to see many of them. Now look, many of them that had got to the top. They spent 30 years trying to get to the top, and they got to the top, and not even 2 years later or a year later, they end up on the other side of the fence. They end up getting assaulted. They end up getting pushed out. You know, and so I have no doubt that if I could ask that individual that happened to, was it worth it? He would tell you no. You know, because he now realized the moment he was moved out, the moment he was pushed out, that it was all an illusion. It was all a lie. You know, for whatever reasons. You know.
Richard,
Yeah.
so Stay Blessed, the one that originally asked the question, he wants to go ahead and
Yeah.
thank you, for taking the time and and answering the question and letting the people know, how it really is, what the outcome is normally, when you get yourself involved and go above and beyond. It normally turns out bad. It's not normally it's not you can't do a victory dance for a long time because other people start gunning for your position, and you end up in either 6 feet deep or on the other side, or crippled, or
You have 60 seconds remaining.
in bad standings.
Absolutely.
In other words, yeah. So definitely appreciate that. You answering that, and if you could go ahead and give us a call back, so I got a few more other questions
Okay.
for you. If you have more time, I'm not sure what
All
your
right.
schedule's like right now, but if you could call us back, that would be perfect.
Okay. I'll do that.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, and so I've been reading some of the comments that you've been putting on here, Aquatic Amigo. Man, yeah, it definitely uh, 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 LA was definitely wild during those years, and um, yeah, I did go through a lot of that. Going to school and I didn't belong to a gang, so it was rough. It was rough, getting robbed and getting chased and all that stuff. It was definitely wild. And let me see, LBCK also put, yeah, definitely. In the 2000s, it was still active. Yeah, early 2000s. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, you're right about that. All that generation definitely slammed down right now. So uh, it's a different out here. What people are following and whatnot. So
This call is now being
This
recorded.
is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Richard Martinez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
hello, Richard.
Hey, James.
All right, thank you for calling
Yeah.
back. So also, I wanted to ask you about. I know in one of your earlier interviews you had mentioned that you were celled up with your brother. I'm assuming this was your younger brother, and also I'm not sure
Yes.
if this is the same brother that got deported. Um, would you mind, sharing your experience, with being incarcerated with your brother? How did that work? Being in the same cell, and then if this is the same brother, if you could share kind of what happened with him when he got deported.
Yeah, because yeah, my younger brother was in the system already, and unfortunately, and it's one of the conversations that I had with him, and I apologized and asked him for his forgiveness because it was because of me that he um, uh, went this route. He followed in my footsteps. I should have I should have been I should have been a better brother to him, and but I hadn't realized it at the time just how much influence uh, and love uh, would cause my little brother to follow my footsteps that way. And and it was because of me too that he ended up getting validated and ended up in the shoe. And so when he came, this was at Pelican Bay when he came in the late 90s. Um, it was bittersweet. It was sad. It was a joy to see him. And when they brought him, they had already informed me way before he got to Pelican Bay that my brother was on his way from Ironwood State Prison, and they had informed me that once he got there, that if I wanted him to be moved in with me, and absolutely, I said yeah. And so the day he did arrive, um, it was done. They brought him directly into my cell, and like I said, it was bittersweet. It was sad but joyous because I was happy to see him. I hadn't seen him in a while, um, and we both cried, hugged each other, and that's the whole thing is we couldn't even do that uh, wholeheartedly uh, because we didn't want others to hear us cry. And so we had to actually muffle our cries uh, from the joy that we felt that being able to hug one another because my brother knew, uh, he already knew I was doing the life sentence. And he was only going to be there momentarily with me because he was at the end of his sentence. Um, but the time that we did spend together there, we reminisced about family times. Uh, we spoke of everything, and it was one of those things where I had actually advised my little brother not to continue on this lifestyle because at the time I already knew that it was a lie, it was a facade, it was nonsense, you know, but that it was too late for me because I was already doing a life sentence and that I was never getting out. That's what I had thought at the time. And so I told him, um, when you get out, just stay out. This lifestyle is not worth it. You know, go out there with your kids. You know, don't do what I did. And so we were there for that year uh, until his uh, parole date came. And when he got out, unfortunately, um, his substance abuse problem got him back into the system. But this time, uh, when he got did his time, he was released, but sent to INS to be deported. And when before he had left, we already knew he had an INS hold, and I couldn't understand it because my little brother, he was yes, he was born in Mexico, uh, but our dad was an American citizen, and so I had advised him to fight it to produce my dad's birth certificate, produce his, and because there shouldn't have been any reason why he should have been deported. But unfortunately, my brother wanted to get out the faster the sooner for him as well. So he just signed the papers to get deported. He got deported. So when he illegally crossed the border, and he struggled with the substance abuse and got involved with the criminal elements again and got.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And I thank God that it wasn't. They didn't give him a long sentence, um, so he was able to get out again. But then again, they wanted to deport him again. But this time, uh, my mother was able to get all the paperwork that demonstrated that my dad was an American citizen, uh, that my little brother was his son, and that the paperwork was done, and I also used school records to demonstrate it. And so they stopped the deportation and allowed him to stay in the U.S. and fixed everything. And fast forward all these years, he's been out there uh, for about 20 years now, and he's doing really good. He's doing really good. Um, my older brother, the one that got also deported, he was born in Mexico, but he's my step sibling, and he got deported. They took away his green card because of his charges and because of his continued felonies, continued criminal lifestyle, and they ended up taking it from him and deporting him. Um, but my mom was already an American citizen. She had gained her citizenship through my father, and so uh, he's been out close to 20 years now. But now he's going to be able to submit a formal request to be allowed to re-enter the United States because they had prohibited him to enter the United States for the minimum of 20 years. And but yeah, it was a crazy a feeling. It was a crazy mind-boggling just to see my little brother in the same cell as I was. Uh, and sometimes we made light of it. Sometimes we made light of it by uh, saying how we ended up as bunkies in the house, sharing twin beds to sharing now bunks in the cell in prison. And, and it's something that I never wanted for my little brother. And but he did admit to me that it was because of me that he started on this lifestyle and on this path. And it hurt. It made me sad. It hurt because I knew that our dad had, before he passed away, he had always told me to take care of my younger brothers. And here I was in prison, and my little brother with me. You know, and I'm just grateful, and I thank God every day that he was able to get out and turn his life around. But I was the very first individual that had told him that this lifestyle here was it was a dead end. It was not worth it. You know that it's only gonna cause you to lose your life, lose loved ones, bring you back in prison for life, or even worse. So I think that kind of helped them out in not getting involved in a lot of stuff that I was. And I was adamant and discouraged them to even um, get involved in the things that I was in. So I managed to do that, and I'm glad that I was able to do that. And I thank God that I was able to have that opportunity
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
to have them in the cell because that was the only way that I could ever communicate with them. But I really wanted to tell them, you know, and it helped. It helped begin to change his life. It helped begin him to take that other route, to let him know that I'm not disappointed and that I loved him, that I was proud of him, and that, but this was not the life that I wanted for him, and it's not the life that our dad wanted for us. You know, so it made an impression on me, and it was something that was helpful. You know.
Let me ask you, Richard. Your brother, the one that was celled up with you, were you guys part of the same street gang, or did he join a different gang from than where you were from previously from?
Yeah, he had joined a different one, um, and that was the thing is I was trying to. I knew getting into a gang was going to be frowned upon with my family, and I knew that uh, I didn't want my family to see it, and so when I got in, I tried not to bring it into the house, which I didn't. But once I started getting busted, they realized I was a gang member, and so my brother went ahead and joined the local gang that in the area of where we lived at, and just to follow in the same footsteps as that I was now living. And when I got out from camp, uh, they were already members of that gang, and I sat down with them and started talking to both my little brothers, and I told them, I said, and I go, you know, uh, don't do it, just stay away from it. But they didn't pay attention. It was like me telling them not to do something, me doing it at the same time.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I knew how weak that was, and so all I could do is be there with them and help them out uh, and what they needed, you know.
Richard, if you could give us a call back, and then I just want to read off these messages that that the listeners are putting for you, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And thank you for your time.
All right, okay.
All right, thank you. All right, so he's gonna go ahead and call us back. I see a few messages here that I haven't had a chance yet to read off, and just because I don't I don't like to interrupt, especially when they're speaking. So normally when they call back, that's normally the time that I take to ask any questions, or read off any comments that any of the listeners are that have they you guys have. Um, and last man, I just read your message. Hey, no worries. There's definitely gonna be more live. So I appreciate you tapping in and dropping a message. And there he is.
This call is now being
This is
recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Richard Martinez.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, Richard. Thank you for calling back. And this comment that I'm gonna read off to you is it's from one of our newer watchers. He goes under the handle of LBCK15, and he puts, "I feel bad for your mom, Richard. Keep your head up. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Keep pushing, homie." And then he also put, you could hear in this man's voice the pain he's going through. Yeah, definitely. It's a lot. I mean, it's been 32 years in the CDCR, and previous to that, all the other stuff you were doing on the street. Definitely, I'm pretty sure it's a lot to carry on your shoulder. And the last message we have here is from stay_blessed, and he puts, Richard, I wish you the best in your future, and never give up. It's never too late to more each better yourself more each and every day.
Thank you. I appreciate these comments, and yeah, I strive every day to do better. Now I look forward to each day because I know each day now brings goodness. Each day now brings betterment and growth. Each day now brings me closer to uh, a full completion, which will never be complete until uh, God calls me to heaven. But until then, absolutely, I strive to move forward and make the best of each day and do my part now to make any type of positive contributions to others and so anything that I can uh, to try to make amends, to do what I know that needs to be done to do what is right,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
especially in helping others. Anything that I can do from this point on to do what is right, I know will go a long way, and I know will make a difference. You know,
Definitely, I appreciate that you offering and to help. And as far as here on the YouTube channel we got, I'm always looking forward to bring you back on. You do provide a lot of insight, um, and what's happening behind bars, the stuff that was going on the street, and how your sincerity, for wanting to help and prevent anybody from going down the same route you went down.
most definitely. You know, and I appreciate the invite. And I look forward to when the day I get out uh, uh, to be able to see you there. You know,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely. So, yeah, so
Uh, um,
I was speaking to Richard earlier on, and I did mention to him because I know he does have a parole hearing coming up within I think like 10 months or so. So I told him, well, once he paroles, then I definitely want to be there and share that experience with you guys, so you guys could see what it is like coming home after such a long time, and then even if possible, sharing his day to day, either like going down to the to get his birth certificate, his social security number, and ID, just to reestablish himself into society. So definitely looking forward to hopefully participating in his life once he does get out.
I look forward to it, man. You know. Once again, thank you for everything, man. Appreciate it, James. And I appreciate your listeners as well. Thank you everyone for their comments and their support and their prayers. I appreciate it.
All right, then, Richard. Then I'm gonna go ahead and let you continue with your day. We'll definitely be in contact, and like you said, I definitely want to thank all everybody that's listening in on the live and asking questions. Definitely add a interesting twist to the live stream. It's just not me asking questions. You guys are actually participating also and asking questions. So definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream, and I should be back on. I'm not sure if tomorrow or at the latest Monday. So you guys go ahead and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thank you, bro.
All right, you're welcome. Have a good day.
You too, bro.